The Bunker is not an Amnesia game. I've read this sentiment on a bunch of posts on the oh-so-horrifying Steam discussion forums back when The Bunker came out. I've already finished the game before reading these, and I couldn't be more baffled to see such a statement. For the purposes of this review, I've decided to do a little bit of a comparison. I will make the bold assumption and say that when most people say it is not an Amnesia game, they likely refer to the most popular title, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. So, let's talk Dark Descent a bit first. No big spoilers, of course. So in The Dark Descent, you wake up as Daniel, a man who willingly drank a concoction to make himself forget. Whatever horrors he went through, he now has to retrace in order to solve whatever issue is at hand. Throughout the game, you do a lot of walking and exploration. You interact with objects, throw them around, light up candles, and use your lantern to battle the darkness. All while occasionally being chased by a relentless enemy in various circumstances. Ultimately, it's a game about rediscovering your horrific past in order to change the future, all while being pursued by the ever-present antagonist, the Shadow. Now, with all that in mind, let's get back to our main actor, the Bunker. I have thoroughly enjoyed the Amnesia series, except for you, I guess. And I like how in the Bunker, the ideas of the Amnesia universe were intertwined together to create a fresh spin on a cult classic survival horror game. Yes, it is different from the previous games, but is that necessarily wrong? No, it is not. So to answer the post's question, is the Bunker an Amnesia game? Absolutely. Let's address why, and also talk a bit more about the game itself. I think the lines that the game starts with perfectly encapsulates what the gameplay is about. To survive this war, you will need two things. First, a basic set of skills. Second, the good goddamn sense to do whatever is necessary. I can teach you the first. The second is up to you. And yeah, this is pretty much what the game is about. They will tell you what to do and what the basic set of skills is, like what you can shoot, you can throw rocks, you can rotate objects, you can do this and you can do that, but it is up to you how you do certain things. It is entirely up to you how you handle the Bunker. What is an Amnesia game? Just because they changed the gameplay formula doesn't mean the themes don't remain the same. It's still the same universe, the Shadow is still present as the main antagonistic force of evil, and the protagonist having, in this case, a mild amnesia is also present. So all that checks out. The Bunker is definitely a very novel Amnesia game though. It tries a completely different spin on its universe and core mechanics. This time opting for a more roguelike experience, with shuffling items and key codes each playthrough. However, all the bones of an Amnesia game are still there. Physics-based object interaction, check. A stalker enemy that you cannot really defeat, check. Psychological horror, check. Item collection and problem solving, absolutely check. It's all there. Especially the problem solving part is super strong in Bunker. It's meat and potatoes of this game pretty much. The enemy stalker part was also greatly improved and played with a lot more this time around. In the Dark Descent, it's mostly just like scripted sequences, mazes you have to navigate in while the enemy basically chases you and tries to kill you, and you cannot really do that much except for hiding. In the Bunker, it's not just a simple cat and mouse kinda chase scene, but you also have various means of defending yourself or setting up traps. You have a revolver, ammo for which is absolutely precious, and has more uses than just shooting the monster. However, you can always opt to do that if the situation is dire enough. Well, you can see, for example, in this little tutorial section, there is a door with an iron padlock on it. And usually you can destroy these kind of padlocks in games, right? Like usually you hit them or you shoot them or whatever. And later on, you encounter this dude dying here, and he gives you a revolver, saying that you need to shoot him. However, you find 2 bullets in the drawer, so you can assume that one is for him and one is for the padlock. Well, it turns out that he actually gets dragged into nothingness, into hell, by the beast, and you've got 2 bullets for yourself. Well, I mean, what's the first thing you can do, right? What you think of? Well, shoot the padlock. And of course, you can absolutely shoot the padlock. You can destroy the door, it will open, and it's all fine, it's all intended. However, what you can also do is pick up like one of these bricks right here, one of these heavy bricks, throw them at the padlock once or twice, and it will actually also break the padlock, so you save the bullet, you make less noise, and you were overall a lot more efficient. So that's pretty much what this is about. Like, you have to think a little bit outside of the rules here. Like, they handhold you kinda, but you can pretty much, I don't want to say cheese the game, but you can make your own rules, so to speak. And I find that really fun. It's especially fun in a horror game. However, it is much more recommended to be crafty, rather than straightforward. Set up traps, blow up explosives, hide and barricade yourself, avoid being noisy near holes in the walls. There's many little mechanics that are easy to understand, but keep you on your toes constantly. You have to stay vigilant at all times. This is the essence of this game. The entire game is set in one cramped location, the titular bunker, and you're the sole survivor of whatever incident happened there. Now, you are on your own, and you have to figure out your situation and how to exit the bunker. The exit is right next door. However, the officers before you blocked it, so now you have to blow it up. Simple, right? Well, it would be, if it wouldn't be for the aforementioned stalker that is pretty much omnipresent throughout the entire game, roaming the bunker as it pleases. There's also giant rats, but let's avoid talking about those bastards. Okay, so we wake up, get our bearings, learn that the exit is actually right there in front of our frightened face. We have to figure out how to destroy the debris and escape. One more problem quickly arises. The light in the bunker. It's rather weak. The generator powering it shuts down constantly, needs fuel to function. Well, fuel is scattered around the bunker, and we have limited inventory space, so we fuel up the generator, get our little trusty stopwatch going, and venture out into the darkness, finding resources, progressing the bunker, and of course, avoiding the monstrous beast stalking the whole area. All this while constantly being at the pressure of the generator shutting down, turning the whole bunker dark, rendering the beast a bunch more aggressive. This is one part of Bunker that was criticized a lot, and I must kinda agree, some players did not like that they were constantly under this pressure of time and resource, and never really had the time to respite and breathe in. That's absolutely true, the generator is always ticking, there is no pause, no cutscenes, you have to work, and you have to work fast, all the time. However, in my personal opinion, it works both ways. The pressure adds a horror element into the whole gameplay, but it also defeats the pacing of the story a bit, so there's like a give and take. Another common complaint I saw was, but the fuel is a finite resource and you need a running generator to progress some areas, otherwise it's impossible! Well, nerd emoji, that is simply wrong. Yes, you do need fuel, but it's definitely not a finite resource. After a certain new room you find, it's practically infinite, as it can be refilled at this barrel storage. But even if you find this rather late, at the regular difficulty, there is so many fuel canisters that if you're exploring at least a little bit, it's very hard to truly, fully run out. The bunker is mostly a game of sound. Stay quiet and calculate each loud action you make. There are several ways to solve many obstacles that you will run into, and the loud option might not always be the best, though it's definitely the quickest. So in this way, Bunker proposes an interesting set of tools you can utilize to solve your problems. It's a constant game of quick thinking, and the better you think, the better time you're gonna have. If you will just waste all your precious bullets on shooting out logs, and the incredibly rare grenades on blowing up said doors, not only you will be constantly triggering the monster, but you will also very quickly find out that you have no resources, and found very little by blowing up every door. So Bunker promotes and pushes you into creative thinking on the fly, while under the constant pressure of the whole place going dark.
Bravo 6. Going dark.
While the bunker is definitely mazy, I never really felt lost, per se. The game expects you to pay attention to all of its elements, including the various notes scattered around. If you read and look at everything around you, you can very quickly get your bearings, and since you'll be doing a lot of backtracking, you will quickly grow used to the bunker's layout, and some areas will become second nature to you. I felt like the bunker never got too complex. It was always clear enough to know what to do, but vague enough to not be sure how to do it, which is perfect. The map is divided into various smaller segments, each housing a set of challenges and problems to solve. And at the end, you get a key component for creating the TNT and blowing up the way out. Of course, I'll let you discover all of these yourself. One little horror cliché I really love, and I think Bunker used it very well here. As I mentioned before, the exit is right there. It's literally right there. You wake up from this nightmare, and a few corridors ahead, you can see it. It's there. The heavenly beam of light, constantly taunting you almost. You see it every time you return back to your headquarters to stock up, store items, and fuel up the generator. Every time you exit 2, it's there yet again, shouting at you to finally get there and reach it. The exit being right in front of your face the entire time was always one of my favorite horror tropes, and I'm amused that it's there. I think it nicely fits in the whole oppressive atmosphere of being locked up in one place the whole time. The bunker uses many of these like little classic survival horror tricks to toy with you and make the game just a bit more terrifying, while also delivering an interesting background lore as to what exactly happened there. Sound design is nothing short of magnificent, and the overall mechanics are communicated well, and I never felt lost. You just need to pay attention to the notes, look at your map, and as I also said before, resource management is also a big part of the gameplay here, with the main Resident Evil-like stash residing in the main generator area, but I feel like it's not as annoying as in some other games. There's certainly decent amount of room to wiggle with. Once you know your ways around the bunker, you feel rewarded for it. You can also safely drop items anywhere you want, they will just stay there, so just remember where you left them and you can just come back eventually. So that's also a big plus because the bunker never changes. The seat you get at the start is the seat you have and it won't change. Wherever you drop anywhere, it just stays there unless it's like destroyed or something. Also, I will touch up on the antagonist a little bit here. The Beast, while constantly present, isn't actually as threatening as it might initially seem. I actually found having more trouble with the rats rather than the Beast, as the Beast is pretty easy to read after a couple of encounters. One frustrating thing that can happen is when the Beast will just randomly pop out of a hole right next to you, killing you almost instantly. That can actually happen. Though I can probably trace that back to being my fault as well, who knows. Maybe it got triggered by something. So, in retrospect, overall, a fun, novel survival horror game. While rather short, it's just around 5 hours, it took me just over 5 I think. There's plenty of detail to unravel, and it's an interesting, compact take on a horror game that will definitely have its fans and its haters. For me it's a solid grab, on a little discount, maybe even get it on full price if you don't mind the shorter runtime. Because it's definitely an interesting game, and I love the trope of basically being locked up in this singular area. I always like that in horror when they just give you this haunted house that you enter or somehow get in there and you're just locked up in there and have to find a way out, you know. It's one of my favorite tropes and I think Bunker does it rather well, and it's quite original while still doing this trope. So overall, I give it a big recommendation. I think it's a very, very solid, compact survival horror. Get it on discount if you mind the runtime, or get it on full price if you don't care and just want to support the devs. Overall, excellent.